The year is 1958, and 30,000 feet above the Atlantic, a lavatory door clicks shut. Inside that tiny room is a stewardess in a spotless green uniform, and standing right in front of her is the first-class passenger who has spent the last 6 hours making her life hell. He thinks he knows exactly what's about to happen. He is very, very wrong. Because what happens behind that door takes 4 seconds. 4 seconds that will end her career on the spot. And here's the crazy part. She never regretted it for a single day. This is the story of the stewardess who hit back. Welcome to Sky Stories. So let's talk about the golden age of flying. It's the 1950s, and air travel is the most glamorous thing on the planet. The planes are so new, you can literally smell the polish on the cabin walls. Passengers show up in their Sunday best. Men in pressed suits, women in pearls, and gliding down the aisle between them is the star of the show. The stewardess. Perfect smile, perfect posture, perfect hair. The airlines basically sold her as part of the aircraft. But here's what the posters never showed you. To wear that uniform, you had to be young, and you had to be single. Before every shift, you were weighed in front of everyone, and 1 pound over the limit could get you grounded. Got engaged? Hand in your wings. Turned 30? Thanks for your service. There's the door. And the worst part, the passengers knew all of this because 6 miles above the ocean, in a cabin full of cigarette smoke, there were no security cameras, no air marshals, and no HR department waiting at the gate. A stewardess had exactly 3 things: a call bell, a drinks trolley, and whatever the guy in seat 4C decided he could get away with. And the unwritten rule of the entire industry was simple: smile through it. Which brings us to a young woman from Dublin. Let's call her Maureen. She's in her early 20s, working the short hops between Dublin and London. 40 minutes of tea, turbulence, and tired businessmen. And she's good. Quick with a tray, even quicker with a comeback. So when the airline offers her extra pay to crew the brand new transatlantic route, 8 hours to Chicago and back, it sounds like the opportunity of a lifetime. Spoiler alert, it becomes the flight she'll talk about for the rest of her life, just not for the reason she hoped. Boarding day, Dublin Airport. And Maureen is standing at the bottom of the air stairs in a brand new transatlantic uniform. This isn't the 40-minute hop to London anymore. This is 8 hours over open ocean in a cabin packed with 100 passengers and exactly 3 crew to keep them all happy. And up in first class in seat 4C sits the man this story is really about. Picture him: expensive suit, gold watch, wedding ring, and the unshakable confidence of a man who has never once heard the word no. For the first hour, everything is fine. Drinks are poured, dinner is served, and the engines hum along over the Irish coast. And then, somewhere past the point of no return, Maureen walks down the aisle with a tray of drinks. As she passes seat 4C, she feels it, a hand slapping her backside. She freezes, and from behind her comes a single word: honey. Now remember the unwritten rule of 1958, smile through it. So Maureen smiles, and she keeps walking. But the man in 4C takes that smile as an invitation. Every time she passes, the hand comes out. Every refill, another slap, another honey. For hour after hour over the open Atlantic, she reports it to the senior stewardess, and the answer is exactly what you'd expect in 1958. He's first class, dear. Be nice. We're almost there. Almost there. Meaning 4 more hours. 4 more hours in a sealed metal tube with a grinning passenger and absolutely nowhere to go. And it's somewhere in hour 5, halfway across the black Atlantic, that something inside Maureen quietly clicks. She would describe that moment, decades later, in 5 very Irish words. Words we'll have to clean up slightly for YouTube. Roughly translated, I thought to myself, enough. She doesn't cry, and she doesn't complain again. Instead, she starts being nice to the man in seat 4C. Very, very nice. Because Maureen has a plan. And the man in 4C is about to find out exactly what it is. Now, to understand Maureen's plan, you have to understand the man in seat 4C. He's spent the entire flight assuming he's the one in control of the situation. He's wrong about that. He just doesn't know it yet. Over the next hour, Maureen turns into the perfect first-class stewardess. Extra ice in his whiskey, a warm towel for his hands. A second pillow he didn't even ask for. She laughs at his jokes. At least, she does the polite little airline laugh that has launched 1,000 bad ideas in men just like him. And the man in 4C, predictably, takes the bait whole. By the time the cabin lights dim for the night, he's leaning into the aisle every time she walks past. And then, somewhere over the middle of nowhere, Maureen leans down to his ear and whispers something. We don't know exactly what she said, but we know what he heard, because a minute later, he's out of seat 4C and following her toward the back of the plane. He thinks tonight is his lucky night. It is not. At the rear of the cabin, Maureen opens the lavatory door, steps inside, and glances back at him over her shoulder. He's right behind her. The door clicks shut. And here it is. The 4 seconds this whole story has been building toward. What happens next, Maureen would later tell anyone who'd listen, was the cleanest piece of work of her career. She turns to face him, reaches down toward his belt, and his blank face somehow communicates pure delight. Big mistake, because Maureen's hand was never going for his belt. It was going several inches lower, and as the man in 4C realizes what is actually happening, Maureen winds back her arm and punches him with absolutely everything she has, in the one place no man can defend in time. The sound, by all accounts, was unforgettable. When Maureen finally opens that lavatory door and steps back into the aisle, she is perfectly composed, hair in place, uniform unwrinkled, tray ready for the next round of drinks. Seat 4C, on the other hand, did not return to seat 4C for quite some time. Meanwhile, somewhere over Newfoundland, a man is very slowly, very painfully crawling his way back into seat 4C. He doesn't ring the call bell. He doesn't ask for help. In fact, he doesn't say a single word for the rest of the flight. Maureen, meanwhile, finishes her shift the exact way she started it, pouring drinks, fluffing pillows, and smiling that perfect 1950s stewardess smile. When the plane lands in Chicago, she walks off it with her head held high. She knows exactly what's coming. And sure enough, by the time the crew gets back to Dublin, there is a formal complaint waiting on her supervisor's desk. The wording is exactly what you'd expect from a man like 4C. The stewardess attacked him, completely unprovoked, in the lavatory of a transatlantic flight. Of course, he leaves out a few minor details, like the slapping, like the honey, like the small matter of who actually followed who to the back of the plane. But here's the thing about 1958. None of that actually matters. The airline doesn't ask Maureen for her side of the story. There is no investigation, there is no hearing, there is just a small office, a form pushed across a desk, and a pair of metal airline wings going back into a drawer. Just like that, Maureen's flying career is over. And here's the part of the story that I think makes Maureen, frankly, kind of a legend. She is not sorry. Not the day she's fired. Not the week after. Not for the rest of her life. She goes home, she finds another job, and over the next 40 years, she tells this story to anyone who will sit still long enough to hear it. Pubs, weddings, christenings, train carriages, wherever there are listeners, there is Maureen, doing the exact same little punch mime with her right hand. And every single time she finishes the story, she says the same line. I lost my job for it, but by God, it was worth every penny. Maureen passed away in her 80s, surrounded by the kind of family that already knew every single one of her stories by heart. And the only reason we have this one tonight is because someone in a pub one night decided it was too good a story to let die with her. Which is, when you think about it, exactly how the best aviation stories survive. Not in flight manuals, not in news reports, but whispered between strangers at 30,000 feet or shouted across a pub decades after the fact. So, if you've got a story like this, a pilot in your family, a flight attendant friend, something wild you witnessed from seat 23B, drop it in the comments below, because the next Sky Stories episode just might be yours. I'm your narrator, this has been Sky Stories, and until next time, mind the seatbelt sign.